Hi, my name is Danielle and I am dyslexic. I was diagnosed as an adult after lots of challenges and bumps in the road. So I was originally picked up as having a learning difficulty when I was a child at school, um, but I wasn't ever formally diagnosed with dyslexia. I was an avid reader and I did well at school. So the my teachers couldn't understand why I had such difficulty with spelling and understanding some of the assignment tasks and questions. And I think part of that was my ability to mask and always, you know, trying really hard at school and going over the top, doing more than what was needed for assignments and assessments to kind of hide the fact that it wasn't always easy for me. So this all happened in England, and then I moved to Australia when I was 11, and my mum went to my teacher and said that, I had gone to these classes for learning difficulties, but they weren't quite sure, what was going on with me. And she wanted to make sure that I had any extra support in Australia that I might need. Um, and my teacher at the time, who was not qualified to diagnose with dyslexia or any learning difficulties for that matter, gave me a spelling test, which isn't how you you test for dyslexia for starters, and said that she didn't think that I had any issues. So I went through my whole schooling life again, going above and beyond to make sure that I was getting good grades. I strategically, when I got to high school, picked classes that I knew I was good at. So, all creative classes. I did two art classes, I did dance, I did graphical drawing. So, from a very young age, I found ways around it and to hide it. It wasn't until I did my practice QCS test, which was handwritten, that the teachers again couldn't understand why I was barely passing that test when I was getting A's and B's in my other classes, because I had tools, and it was things that they were subjects that were interesting to me, but I also had tools like spell check. I had time to process, write, check. Um, and my school told me at the time that, well, I'd gotten this far, so you'll be fine. I then went to university, and so I studied a Bachelor of Fine Arts, and I just remember doing the readings, and it felt like they were written in a different language. Um, and I ended up having quite severe panic attacks, and I left university. I didn't have a plan B. I always wanted to go to art school. There was no plan B for me. So it was pretty devastating to have to walk away from that. Um, I went to university a bit later in life, and again, hadn't been diagnosed at this point. Went above and beyond to the point of burnout to get good grades. So I have a master's degree and an undergraduate degree, have an excellent GPA, but at the cost of my social life, my mental health at times. And yeah, that was, pretty full on. What actually made me get a diagnosis and get the help that I needed was when I realized that I was starting to feel that way at work, where I was feeling like I had to go above and beyond to be successful. I felt pressure to, try and win awards at work. I struggled with talking in meetings and being worried about not being able to pronounce words properly or not being able to communicate what I needed to say properly. Um, and there was a moment that I had with my optometrist, who I adore dearly. He's a great optometrist, but the letters were moving on the test, and I said, like, the letters are jumping around. Is that normal? And he said, oh, that's strange. I haven't heard of that before. And I said, I think I might be dyslexic. And he said to me, no, you've been to university. And I was working at a university at the time. You can't be dyslexic. Like, don't be silly. And I thought, you know what? I am sick of this. I'm sick of feeling like I have to overly prove myself. And I'm sick of struggling and people not being able to see that, and having to hide it. And that's when I went through the process of getting screened for dyslexia. And of course, it came back that I do have dyslexia. It runs in my family. So I have family members who are very close to me that also have dyslexia. And so, yeah, I think for me, Dyslexia Awareness Month is really about bringing awareness to what dyslexia is, what it's not, and really trying to break down those assumptions about what it is to help people get the diagnosis and help that they need. I think for me, a lot of because there is so much stigma and assumptions about what dyslexia is and it being linked to intelligence. I did a lot of, I gaslit myself a lot. Other people gaslit me. You're really successful and smart. How can you be dyslexic? And so I really pushed away those struggles and getting what I needed because of that. So if I can just help one person by sharing my story, to know that there is help available, your struggles, you don't have to go through them alone, and there are tools out there that can help you thrive, without cost to your personal life, or other aspects in your life, then I'd be happy.